Hey folks, David Stewart here, coming at you with a little bit more sepia toned action. I'm trying a slightly different camera setup. This is actually a DSLR. Had some people recommend this on Twitter, so I might try this out, or I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But my lights aren't all set up, so you're gonna enjoy my sepia toned nostalgic experience. I want to talk about goals. Now, goals are something that I've talked about extensively in this book right here, The Keys to Prolific Creativity, which you can get for a few dollars for the ebook on Amazon, so you can check that out. In fact, I have a whole chapter dedicated to creating effective goals. But I wanted to just make another little video talking about this and giving some analogies that I think are fairly useful. So the main analogy that I'm going to use for this video really is fitness. But the big point about goals is that a lot of times people, when they take their first step on a new journey, when they say, I'm going to be an artist, or I'm going to be a musician, or I'm going to look better or something, they don't have a concrete goal in mind. They don't really know what an effective goal is. And you don't have to have a really concrete goal when you first start writing, for example. You can just say, I want to write. And it's more important to just do it and figure it out by doing it and get in the habit of doing it than it is to have like a perfect goal in mind right when you start. Rather, once you get into doing it and learn more, then you're going to be able to establish more effective goals a little bit later on. So it's not important right from the get-go that you have a perfectly effective goal and you know exactly where you want to go. But once you do know what you want to do, and once you do have an effective end goal, then it's really easy to design a process that will help you achieve that goal. So I like to talk about fitness with this because a lot of people have experience with fitness, whether it is trying to build muscle, or it's trying to lose weight, or it's trying to be stronger, or be a better endurance athlete, or something like that. A lot of people have experience training towards some goal. And I think that that can apply equally well to things that are creative, whether it's art or literature or something else like that. So a lot of people, when they begin a process of like, I want to get in shape, they don't have a concrete idea. They say, I want to look better. I want to look good. But what does looking better and looking good mean? That's really where you start to develop effective goals. Do you want to look like somebody who has very low body fat and very high muscularity, like a bodybuilder? Well, there's an approach to working out and to dieting that will hopefully yield that result, or put you directionally close to the result that you're thinking of as far as I want to look good. Rather than if you are starting a weightlifting program and your goal is to be as strong as possible. To me, being as strong as possible is something that is going to be a very different approach, a different sort of process to achieve a different goal. The goal is to put as much weight on the bar as possible. If you're doing strongman competitions, to do the events of a strongman competition, with the best speed or the best weight, whatever the particular event happens to be. That's your goal. And so you may not be dieting for losing body fat, right? A bodybuilder has this interesting crossover that's actually rather difficult, which is to have a lot of muscularity and at the same time to have low body fat. Those things are actually really difficult to do at the same time. So looking good is, if it looks like a bodybuilder, high muscularity, low body fat, that means you're going to have a really strict diet, and you're going to have a workout routine which emphasizes building muscle mass and not necessarily maximizing the strength that you put on the bar. You have different approaches to achieve different goals. So once you get in the gym and you start figuring things out, then you start to have a better idea of what's possible, what you really want to do, what excites you, what interests you. And I think a lot of people would have better results if they started to have more effective goals for what they were trying to do. Do you strictly want to reduce your body fat? That's probably the best way to improve your looks. So start with the goal, I'm going to lose 40 pounds or something, and then you start designing a process and trying out process to get that 40 pounds of fat off your body. Then once you get there, then you can have another goal. I want to get 18-inch arms or something, and then you can design a workout program that will build bigger arms, whatever it happens to be. With creativity, it's a lot of the same thing. We want to have a really effective goal in mind for what we want to do. So a lot of times people have this idea, they say, I want to be an artist. Well, what does being an artist actually mean? Does being an artist mean you make art? Well, that's pretty broad. Or does being an artist mean something like, I make my living creating art? And if you are able to define it that way, then that's going to determine what you need to do as a creative person to grow and what skills you need to acquire in order to actually achieve that goal. So, for instance, if our goal is, I want to make my living as an artist, you're going to be doing different things than if you had some goal that's like, I want to create large-scale Baroque murals and I don't care if I get paid to do it or not, right? I want to achieve a particular artistic goal that involves some perfection of some skill. And money's not even involved in that. If you want to make a living, that means, well, you need to be producing the art that the market wants to pay you for. So you have to go out and say, well, what are people paying money for? And I need to be generating art that is at least in that sort of direction, that it's close to that is centered on what the market actually wants. It's the same thing with writing. If you're going to write to market, that means you're going to be doing market research to figure out what are the kinds of books that people want to be written and aren't having enough of them written. So maybe it's like a vampire romance is a thing that people would really love to buy more books in that genre, but not enough books are being written in that genre. Well, that's a great genre that you could write a book in. Now, for me, I actually don't really write to market. I know lots of indie authors do because their goal is set of like, I want to make money publishing books. That is actually not my goal. Now, I make money publishing books, but my goal is not to have this career, like to be able to, quit the day job and therefore be the writer. Because to me, I could do anything for money. There's lots of things I could do to pay the rent that are much easier than writing. I could do farm labor work, which I've done for years, or I could go back into teaching, or, I could have some other job that I have skills that are involved in besides actually writing books and trying to write books to market. So I don't really write books to market. Now, is there a market for this book? Hell yeah. And I know there's a market for this book because I did market research to see that there was a market for this book, and it's been a pretty successful book for me, and it's made me some money. And hopefully it's helped some of you solve a problem. And that's a good thing about writing nonfiction is if you start with, there's a problem that needs to be solved. And I'm going to present the solution to that problem, and it's a problem people are looking for a solution to. The problem is, how do I be creative? How do I have lots of creative output being a normal person that's busy? That's what this book's about, because I'm a normal person. I'm a dad. I homeschool my kids. Before that, I was a full-time teacher and a band director, which means it was a very time-intensive job as far as teaching goes. And I was still able to put out a lot of stuff, a lot of videos, a lot of books, albums of music, right? So I put out a lot of crap. Maybe it's garbage over the years, but I put out a lot of stuff. And I was able to do that because I was able to put the creative process in its proper place within my life in order to achieve the goals that I wanted to achieve. So if the goal is I want to make money writing, well, you have to really think about what the market wants you to write. And then you have to be content knowing that you're not going to spend your time writing something that's specifically a passion project, or if you do it, you know that you're not going to make money doing it. For me as a writer, I do want to write. Obviously, I want people to read the books. Otherwise, I wouldn't write. I could write in some alien language. I write in English because I want people to read the books, which is why most people write in a language other people speak rather than writing in Esperanto or, some like Sanskrit or something like that. You write, or even Latin. It would be interesting to write books in Latin, but most people would probably write it in English because that's the biggest market or whatever their home language happens to be. And I just mentioned as an aside, I've talked to a number of authors, the Danish authors, who have chosen to write their books in English because the English market's a little bigger and there's great optionality with it. Danes also speak English at a very high rate, even though it's their second language. Lots of Danes are proficient in English and are fine reading a book in English. But you can also sell books in England and the United States and Canada and really all over the world. It's a world language. Same thing with French. French is a world language, but there's French authors who decide to publish books in English too because of the market. They think about what does the market want? What's the best place to make money? Well, it's probably in the English market because it happens to be bigger than the Danish market in this case. So you have to be okay thinking about what the market wants from you as an artist. So this is where I notice people tend to end up in an existentially upset place is that they realize that the world doesn't want to pay them to make the art that they want to make. The world will only pay you to make the art that the world wants you to make, right? And I try to balance the two. I don't do a ton of market research. I really write the stories that I feel like in my heart I want to write. And if people like them, great. If they don't write them, or if people like them, that's great. If people don't like them, that's okay too. I am not going into a lot of my projects with the idea of like, I need to make a lot of money with this project. I try not to lose money with the projects, but I definitely don't go into it with, my goal is to be, a professional writer and make all this money with it. I would probably do things a little bit differently. And in fact, there's like proven methods towards that, where you, instead of writing what I do, which is I kind of slowly accumulate different books in series, or write a lot of one-off books. You write a bunch of books in one series that's targeted towards one area of the market, and you write like 20 of those books in that series. And you just really target readers who read large volumes of stuff and will chain read all of your books. And it's a good way to make money. Now, I don't want to do that because I don't like reading that kind of stuff. So for me to even do the market research to do that by reading these series would just be torture to me. For the most part, I don't like them. But more than that, I just don't want to do that artistically. That doesn't sound very fun to write for me. And if I'm going to be spending my time doing things I don't find fun, I could do things that are easier to do than writing. And that's, I guess, where I come full circle. My goals have to do with this specific book I'm trying to create, and not necessarily some like grander goal of like, I want to make $50,000 a year writing books. Well, that's possible to do, and there's methods towards doing that. There's a Facebook group called 20 Books to 50K that's like dedicated to that idea. But not everyone has to follow that idea. You have to decide what your goals happen to be creatively, and they may not be the goals that everybody else has. These kind of ideas of like, I want to be a professional. Well, in order to be a professional, you got to be market facing. That's, I guess, my big takeaway here. So thanks so much for watching this little bit. What are your goals creatively? Do you want to like I want to record an album. I want to record a metal album in this style that I care about. Well, that's a very concrete and effective goal, because you can work towards that goal. Develop the skills to record the music, develop the skills to play the instruments, develop the skills to compose, analyze the music that is inspiring you and figure out how to duplicate what made that music good. You have a bunch of things that you can do towards that goal. If your goal is, I want to be a professional musician, well, you have to figure out what's the best way to make money in that market. Now, I was a professional musician and I figured that out. And after 10 years of doing it, I got kind of burned out doing the same thing over and over again. So, there's good and bad to both of those. And you may find out that, oh yeah, doing this professionally may not be what you want, but rather you have some other more specific artistically focused goal that you're more interested in. So thanks so much, guys. Keys to Prolific Creativity, you can get on Amazon for like $2.99, $3.99. Let me know what you think down below in the comments section, and I will see you guys next time, maybe with this new camera setup, maybe not. So have a good one, and take it easy.